that lie! Gonta not kill Mew! Cause why would Gonta do that?
Yeah, it's a lie! I'll never accept this! And besides, Gonta's got no motive to kill Mew!
I already gave you my testimony on how I came up with the murder plan.
And I'm saying I don't believe you!
Kokichi, if what you're saying is true, why did you plan it this way? You wanted to plan the murder yourself, but have someone else carry it out?
Is the person who planned it also included as a blackened with the perpetrator?
Nope! Only the person who actually commits the murder becomes the blackened!
Then there's no incentive to just plan the murder.
But Gonta's such a gentle soul. Why would he agree to this?
Hold on, that hasn't been decided yet!
Who cares about the motive? Let's vote for the culprit already!
I care about the motive!
Well, I don't care. Finding the culprit is more important in this class trial. Talking about the motive is meaningless. It's not necessary for this specific case.
No matter what you say, I'll never believe your lies.
We all agree that Gonta is the culprit, right? It would be impossible for anyone but him.
Naja, zu Tsumugi könnte es theoretisch immer noch gewesen sein und du theoretisch immer noch, auch immer noch.
Impossible? Why?
It's pretty obvious if you use the process of elimination. Which means, Shuichi, you'll be my partner, right?
Me?
Because if you don't face the truth, then we'll all die, right? And you don't want that, do you? Okay, let's begin!
Quit screwing around! I'm done putting up with your selfish bullshit!
Kaito, we should listen to his explanation. Our lives depend on it.
So, we can now take Keyboy, Himiko, and Maki off the suspect list. Shuichi, would you care to explain? I doubt they'll believe it if it came from me.
The reason Kibo, Himiko and Maki can be eliminated as suspects is because, naja, weil sie, ja, they couldn't access the crime scene, die kommen halt nicht zu uns rüber.
They couldn't get to the crime scene, could they?
The bridge from the chapel to the mansion was gone, and only Mew could pass through the wall. The three at the chapel had no way to get to the mansion, so they couldn't have done it. Kaito is the next one off our suspect list. And you know why, right?
Na, weil er ausgelockt war. He wouldn't kill anybody.
Kaito had logged out ahead of us.
Mew logged Kaito out from the start. But she did that to make us think the murder happened in the real world, right? Since we figured out the actual killing happened in the virtual world, it would have been impossible for Kaito, who had already logged out. Mew's time of death was around 6:30 in the morning. That's after Kaito logged out.
Kokichi's completely running the show now.
My synergy with Shuichi is super on point now, so let's move on to the remaining suspects. Gonta, Tsumugi, Shuichi, and me. Tsumugi and Shuichi can be crossed off.
Naja, warum denn Tsumugi? Ah, ja, nee, stimmt, Tsumugi. Kann es nicht gewesen sein, weil die bei uns, weil das laute Geräusch ertönte. Ja, hast recht.
But what's the reason for that?
Ja, wir haben Alibis.
Tsumugi and I are witnesses to each other's alibis.
Both of you heard Mew hitting the chapel wall, right? The culprit was definitely on the roof during that time, since they slid Mew down. Because of that, Shuichi and Tsumugi can't be the culprit. That leaves only Gonta and me as the remaining suspects.
Then you're the culprit!
Sorry for getting your hopes up, but didn't I already explain that's impossible?
The reason why Kokichi can't be culprit ist, weil, ja, er sie nicht hätte anfassen können und dementsprechend konnte er sie auch nicht töten.
If Mew touched him, he'd freeze in place. Kokichi wasn't capable of strangling her.
So then, it's down to one person. And who was that again? Well, who is it?
Don't answer, Shuichi. You don't need to answer that. This is all Kokichi's trap.
There's only one suspect left. Only one person could have done this. Und so schwer es auch ist und so leid uns auch tut, es bleibt nur noch Gonta übrig.
It's Gonta.
Shuichi?
Yep, Gonta is the only person who could have committed the murder. You get it now, right? That's the truth we were all reaching for. The thing you guys wanted so badly! A truth without any lies! Mew Iruma's killer is Gonta Gokuhara!
Really? Did Gonta really do it?
Jeez, is that really your reaction? It would have been fun if you went all crazy. But you forgot everything, so oh well. A culprit who can't remember their murder is pretty interesting. So, better than nothing. If Gonta remembered, his cover would have been blown so fast, especially since he's an idiot.
Hold on. I still haven't accepted this. This has gotta be Kokichi's trap. I still believe in Gonta. He's not the kind of person who'd kill.
Kaito.
I already said this a million times, Kaito. You shouldn't use emotions to—
You want proof? I've got your proof! After Tsumugi and Shuichi heard Kibo's voice in the mansion, they ran outside. And who did they see out there?
Oh, Shuichi and Tsumugi. Gonta, did you see... Oh, das sind wir, okay. Gonta, did you see Kibo around here anywhere? No, Gonta not see him.
Gonta.
Kokichi said it himself. When Mew's avatar crashed into the chapel wall, the culprit must have been on the roof.
I see. If Gonta's the culprit, it'd be weird if he wasn't on the roof.
It's possible that he fled the mansion after he heard the impact.
You'd have to go through the entrance hall to get outside the mansion from the roof. Is that where Shuichi and Tsumugi ran to when they heard the crashing sound?
Then maybe he jumped off the roof.
That's not possible. That rooftop was pretty high up.
Nee, ich denke vielmehr, er hat die Klopapierrolle als Seil benutzt, um sich abzuseilen.
Normally, Gonta could have done it, but his avatar wasn't strong enough. How about that? Now you get it, right? If Gonta was the culprit, there's no way he could have been outside the mansion.
Now you can't say Gonta's the culprit. Congrats, Gonta!
What? Really?
It would have been so nice if that were the truth. If Kaito were right and this horrible trial would just end. But...
No, that's wrong.
What?
Just because Gonta was at the mansion doesn't mean that he isn't the culprit. All the culprit needed was a way to get from the roof to outside the mansion.
Huh?
Looks like Shuichi got it. I'll leave the rest to him.
Kaito, I know how you feel. I know because we all feel it. But we have to face the truth. No matter how cruel that truth may be, we need to face it to survive.
Whose side are you on, Shuichi?
Kaito, please.
Aren't you my sidekick? Was that just a lie?
Kaito!
Fine then! I'll tear that sorry reasoning of yours apart and wake you up!
I can't doubt my detective work now. If I want us all to survive, I can't back down.
I'll never accept this! Don't you know Gonta at all? He's not the kind of guy who kills someone. Don't you know that about him by now? I'll never accept this! Don't you know Gonta at all? He's not the kind of guy who kills someone. Damn it! Why won't you believe Gonta? Why are you listening to Kokichi? Aren't you my sidekick? Wake up, Shuichi! Why won't you believe Gonta? Why are you listening to Kokichi? Aren't you my sidekick? Wake up, Shuichi! Why won't you believe Gonta? Why are you listening to Kokichi? Aren't you my sidekick?
Ich muss mich gerade ein bisschen konzentrieren, tut mir leid.
Wake up, Shuichi!
Oh, das ist härter, als man meinen sollte.
Damn it!
Ach, okay. Und es geht noch schneller. Oh nö. Ja, es geht so schnell. Ich weiß nicht, was ich tun soll.
Remember how Gonta's always tried to protect us? How could Gonta be the culprit? Still want to accuse him, huh? Keep saying the truth this, the truth that, but there's a reason Gonta's not the culprit. Who do you want to believe? Remember what Kokichi has done to us. Remember how Gonta.
Wie soll ich das da oben denn schaffen?
How could Gonta be the culprit? Still want to accuse him, huh? Keep saying the truth this, the truth that. There's a reason Gonta's not the culprit. Who do you want to believe? Remember what Kokichi has done to us. Remember how Gonta's always tried to protect us. How could Gonta be the culprit? Still want to accuse him, huh? Keep saying the truth this, the truth that. There's a reason Gonta's not the culprit. Who do you want to believe? Remember what Kokichi.
Wie soll ich die da oben denn schaffen?
Remember how Gonta's always tried. Damn it! There's no way to leave the mansion from the rooftop.
Oh, das hab ich hab's falsch rum gemacht. Verdammt.
Remember what Kokichi has done to us. Damn it!
Also.
There's no way to leave the mansion from the rooftop.
It ends here.
Damn it!
The toilet paper we found outside the mansion. That's what the culprit used to get from the roof to the ground.
The toilet paper?
The same toilet paper that was used as the murder weapon. That's why we didn't find it anywhere else. Not at the scene of the crime, nor on Miu's body. It was outside the mansion.
Hold on. If they use the toilet paper as a rope to get down from the roof, then they need to tie it to something. But there was nothing to tie it to. I know because I investigated the roof.
You're stubborn, Kaito. You're still going on about this.
Of course I am! I'm gonna believe in Gonta till the very end!
No, there was something that the toilet paper could have been tied to.
What?
Yes, the place where the toilet paper was tied down. Das wäre das Teleskop.
There! The binoculars on the rooftop. The toilet paper could have been tied there. However, I don't think the culprit actually tied it down there. They just hung it. And then used the doubled up toilet paper to climb down. But in that case, they would have had to tug on it in order to take it down.
Yep, that's correct. Because I came up with that idea. But I thought I told Gonta to put the toilet paper back in the bathroom. Oh, I guess you ran into someone on the way and then threw it somewhere close by. like Kaito's morale is shot, so this whole thing is done now.
The matter does appear to be settled.
That... it's...
So, it's true. Going to really kill Mew.
But I'm the one who came up with the plan. Anyway, just admit your crime, Gonta. Even though you don't remember, you still did it.
But why did Gonta do such a terrible thing?
Wait, before you start crying, you gotta admit your crime first.
Stop. I won't let you, Kokichi. If anyone is gonna get him to confess, it's me. Gonta, I'm going to look back at the whole case one more time, okay? When you're convinced, you just let me know, all right? Let's end this together.
Okay.
Oh Mann. Ja, das will wieder eine Weile dauern, einfach weil ja, dass die Control-Dinger ein bisschen komisch sind. Oh, das ist echt ein besonderes Class Trial. Wait. Did Mew bring von... Achso, okay, das kommt hier hin. Was haben wir hier noch so? Das Cellphone. Dining Hall. Achso, wer hat da was investigated? Das kommt dann nachher. Use and check onto the Menschen. Da kommt das Cellphone dann hin. Toilet Paper, das sind Tier. Das war der Hammer. Ja, und Kokichi hat Gonta wirklich für sein eigenes Tackle benutzt. Map of the Virtual World, die kommt hier vorne irgendwo hin. Ja, wir haben halt keine Ahnung, warum er das getan hat, weil Gonta ist halt eine sehr, sehr friedliche Person. Also, ja, er kann sie halt selbst kaum glauben. Ich bin gespannt, ob Kokichi das noch auflöst, bevor wir tun, was wir tun müssen. Kann ich da unten bitte dieses Ding da haben? Ach genau, der Hammer. Ich meine, ja, okay, Mew hat das irgendwie, wie sagt man so schön im Englischen, shared it coming. Aber Gonta, ich weiß ja nicht aus welchen Gründen. Ach, wahrscheinlich hat Kokichi Gonta als Leibwache mitgenommen und als Gonta dann gesehen hat, wie Mew Kokichi angreift, hat wahrscheinlich eingegriffen, um ihn zu schützen. Hat er wahrscheinlich eingegriffen, um ihn vor ihr zu schützen. Ihn vor ihr zu schützen, ja, genau. Das könnte ich mir vorstellen. Ah, okay. Die hat die Kitchen, das waren wir ja. Sie war im Dining Hall, da war sie. Was kommt hier? The Culprit. Wait. Shuichi, genau, wir waren in der Küche. Binoculars. Ah, warte mal. Das muss ja hier hinten sein. Genau. Blue Cord on the right, Red Cord on the left. Das war am Anfang irgendwo. Da hat er es nämlich verwechselt, das Ganze. Aber ich meine... Kokichi muss dann ja geplant haben, dass Gonta die Dinger da verwechselt. Oder? Na, obwohl, er hat sich wahrscheinlich einfach darauf verlassen, dass Gonta eingreift, um ihn zu retten. Und dann danach die Tat einfach, ja, gesteht.
This is the truth of the case. The case began last night. After being convinced by Mew, we all logged in to the virtual world. To log in, you have to plug the memory and consciousness cords into the device. So, we all plugged those cords into our helmets and entered the virtual world. But the culprit had accidentally plugged their cords into the wrong ports. Because of this, a connection error occurred between the culprit's brain and their avatar. As a result, the culprit would forget everything that happened in the virtual world. It's possible that this had an effect on their avatar's personality as well. Because I can't believe that someone so kind could commit murder. But we had no idea this error even happened. And so, we all logged in one by one. Meanwhile, Mew was the last to log in. She had modified the killing game simulator so she could accomplish a specific goal. After Mew confirmed we were all logged in, she took out the bottle of poison and placed it on Kokichi's seat. This was done to make it look like Kokichi was killed by poison when we returned. Yes, the reason Mew modified the simulator and brought us to the virtual world was to kill Kokichi in the virtual world, but make it look like he had died in the real world. After we had all logged in, Mew explained the world to us. Use the salon phone to log out, objects are unbreakable, your avatars use all 5 senses. She also explained the map of the virtual world in the mansion's entrance hall. But her explanation was intentionally false. She wanted us to misunderstand the world. However, one of us was able to see through her scheme. The very person Mew was trying to kill, Kokichi. Kokichi was going to use Mew's plan against her and plotted her murder. But Kokichi wouldn't do it himself. He used a patsy to be the culprit in this case. Kokichi was tight-lipped about the motive, so I don't know why the culprit agreed. But it seems as though right after logging in, when Kokichi and the culprit went outside, they were already working together to execute the murder. Eventually, we met up with Kokichi and crossed the river to the chapel. Mew had us split up to try to find some secret of the outside world. Kaito, Kokichi, Gonta, Tsumugi, and I investigated the mansion, while Maki, Himiko, Kibo, and Mew investigated the chapel. Splitting us up was also part of Mew's plan. At the chapel, Mew told Maki that she was going to look around outside. She chased after our group while we were heading toward the mansion. Once she made sure we were across, she dropped the bridge into the river. This was to trick us into thinking that the river separated the mansion and chapel. At the time, we thought nothing of it. It was just another one of Mew's pranks. That's why we continued with the original plan to find the secret of the outside world. We went to the mansion and split up to look for clues. Kokichi searched the salon. Kaito searched the roof. Tsumugi searched the dining room. I searched the kitchen. And finally, the culprit searched outside the mansion. Around that time, Miu was headed for the wall that was on the side of the chapel. She passed through the wall and headed for the mansion to kill Kokichi. You see, the wall was a special wall that Miu had added herself. This wall was programmed so that only objects could pass through. And Miu had changed her avatar settings from human to object. That was the hidden route she prepared for herself. She set up a wall that only she could pass through. Miu headed toward the mansion, but she was seen by Tsumugi on the way. When she entered the mansion, she pulled out her cell phone. She didn't tell us that there was another way to log out. Then, she spoke a name into the phone, which forced that person to log out. It was Kaito who was on the roof at the time. The same roof where Kokichi and Miu were going to meet. By having Kaito search the roof and then forcing him to log out, she was making him look the most suspicious. But her plan didn't go smoothly. Kokichi was waiting on the roof with a culprit and the toilet paper used to kill Miu. While Miu was distracted by Kokichi, the culprit snuck up from behind. And used the toilet paper from the mansion's bathroom to strangle Miu. This was only possible because objects in the virtual world are unbreakable. Miu's avatar was strangled to death, and the shock killed Miu in the real world. After the murder, Kokichi left the cleanup to the culprit and left the roof. He probably returned to the salon as soon as he could to avoid drawing suspicion. The culprit then took the lattice from the storage room and placed Miu's body on top along with the hammer and the cell phone. The culprit heaved the lattice over the railing and forcefully slid it down the roof slope. With a body on top of it, the lattice became a makeshift sled and flew off the roof. It went through the wall that only objects can pass through before crashing into the chapel. That was the crashing sound that Kibo heard in the chapel and we heard in the mansion. Miu's wall hid the fact that the mansion and chapel were actually right next to each other. That's why Tsumugi and I were able to hear the crash from the mansion. As the final step, the culprit had to then get off the roof. Because we were at the mansion, they couldn't take the stairs or they'd be seen. So they used the toilet paper again to escape from the rooftop. They hung the toilet paper from the binoculars on the roof and used it like a rope to climb down. Once the culprit was safely on the ground, they pulled at the toilet paper to retrieve it. They would have returned it to the bathroom, but they ran into us as we were leaving the mansion. In a panic, the culprit tossed the toilet paper somewhere nearby. Without that one little mistake, we might never have solved this case because the culprit doesn't remember. This is the truth you've forgotten, Gonta Gokuhara, the ultimate entomologist.